The French Mamluks, Napoleon's Eastern warriors. The French Mamluks represent a fascinating intersection of military innovation, cultural fusion, and personal loyalty during the Napoleonic era. Originally members of a powerful military caste in Egypt, the Mamluks were absorbed into Napoleon Bonaparte's forces during his Egyptian campaign. Their service under French colors spanned from the deserts of Egypt to the snows of Russia, leaving a colorful but little-known imprint on the history of European warfare. Origins in the Egyptian campaign, 1798 to 1801. When Napoleon launched his expedition to Egypt in 1798, one of his goals was to cut off Britain's route to India and to establish French influence in the Middle East. Upon arrival, he encountered the Mamluks, elite cavalrymen who had ruled Egypt as semi-independent warlords under nominal Ottoman oversight. These warriors were famed for their martial skill, lavish attire, and use of curved sabers and Arabia horses. The Mamluks resisted fiercely. At the Battle of the Pyramids, July 21, 1798, Napoleon's army, using disciplined infantry squares and modern artillery, defeated them decisively. While many Mamluks died in the battle, some were captured and others defected or submitted in exchange for protection. Napoleon, always pragmatic and appreciative of talent, decided to incorporate some of these men into his own forces. He formed a unit composed of Mamluks and other locally recruited cavalry, often referred to as the Mamluks de la Garde, or simply French Mamluks. These men, while few in number, became known for their distinctive uniforms, turbans, and exotic appearance, adding not only martial strength but also symbolic value to Napoleon's army. Who were the French Mamluks? It is important to note that the French Mamluks were not exclusively of Egyptian origin. In fact, most were not ethnically Egyptian in the modern sense. Historically, the Mamluks in Egypt were slave soldiers predominantly Circassian, Georgian, Turkic, or Balkan origin, brought to Egypt as children and trained in military service. After Napoleon's victory in Egypt, his recruitment efforts included not just former Mamluk warriors, but also a mix of local Arabs, Kurds, Berbers, Syrians, Greeks, and Albanians. Over time, a few Frenchmen were also incorporated into the Mamluk units, adopting their uniforms and customs. Thus, the French Mamluks became a highly diverse group, united more by function and loyalty than by ethnicity or national origin. From Egypt to France, formation of the Mamluk Squadron. After the failure of the Egyptian campaign and Napoleon's return to France in 1799, a small group of Mamluks accompanied him. Among them was Roustam Raza, who would serve as his personal bodyguard and valet until 1814. And Napoleon later formalized the role of Mamluks in his military by creating a Mamluk squadron in 1802, attached to the chasseurs à cheval of the Imperial Guard. The squadron, composed not only of former Egyptian fighters, but also Frenchmen dressed in Eastern style, grew to about 250 men. Though it was never large, it held a unique and prestigious position in the Imperial Guard, Napoleon's elite corps. Participation in major campaigns, 1805 to 1815. Battle of Austerlitz, 1805. The Mamluk squadron saw its first major European action at the Battle of Austerlitz, often regarded as Napoleon's greatest victory. Although their role was limited compared to larger cavalry formations, the Mamluks participated in skirmishes and served as part of the emperor's close guard. Their colorful presence drew attention from allies and enemies alike. Peninsular War and campaigns in Spain, 1808 to 1814. The Mamluks were deployed in the Peninsular War, particularly in southern Spain. There, they engaged in patrol small-scale battles and anti-insurgency operations against Spanish guerrillas. Though the brutal nature of the war tested their endurance, they proved adaptable and reliable in irregular warfare. Russian Campaign, 1812. One of the most dramatic episodes in Mamluk service came during Napoleon's ill-fated invasion of Russia. The Mamluk squadron participated in the Battle of Borodino, the bloodiest single-day engagement of the Napoleonic Wars. They fought bravely but suffered heavy losses during the disastrous retreat from Moscow. Many succumbed not to battle but to the extreme cold and lack of supplies. Their eastern origin did not prepare them for the brutal Russian winter, and only a few survived. Campaigns of 1813 to 1814 and the fall of the empire. The remnants of the Mamluk squadron continued to serve in the War of the Sixth Coalition, including battles in Germany and France, as Napoleon's empire began to collapse. Despite declining numbers, the Mamluks remained loyal and distinguished themselves in rearguard actions. Waterloo and aftermath, 1815. During the 100 days following Napoleon's return from exile on Elba in 1815, the Mamluks reassembled briefly. Though not a major force at Waterloo, they symbolized Napoleon's imperial past and multicultural legacy. After his final defeat, the restored Bourbon monarchy disbanded the squadron permanently. Some Mamluks, like Roustam, faded into obscurity or returned to the Middle East. Others stayed in France, often French citizens by now, but without their former status. Their unique role was largely ceremonial by the end, but it left a cultural and military legacy still visible in French art and literature. Legacy and historical significance. The French Mamluks were more than a military novelty. They embodied Napoleon's strategy of incorporating diverse peoples into his armies, based on loyalty and utility rather than nationality or religion. Their service illustrated both the cosmopolitan ambitions of the empire and the limits of such integration in a deeply nationalistic Europe. They also serve as an early example of cross-cultural military assimilation, foreshadowing modern efforts to incorporate foreign troops into national armed forces. Their uniforms and mystique inspired 19th century Romanticism, and they became recurring subjects in Napoleonic art and memoirs. Conclusion. Though small in number, the French Mamluks played an outsized role in Napoleon's military machine and imperial imagery. From the sands of Egypt to the plains of Russia, they served as warriors, bodyguards, and symbols of East meeting West. Their story, though often overshadowed by grander campaigns, reflects the complexity, ambition, and contradictions of the Napoleonic age. Please like and subscribe for more content like this.